Thomas J. Capano understood how power works. He knew how to stand in a courtroom and hold a jury's attention. He knew how to navigate a governor's office without appearing to push. He knew which conversations happened in public and which happened behind closed doors. He had built a career on proximity to authority and fluency in the law. By the mid-1990s, Capano was one of the most connected lawyers in Delaware. He had served as a state prosecutor and public defender. He had been Wilmington's city solicitor. He had acted as legal counsel to Governor Michael N. Castle and later as an aide to Governor Thomas Carper. He was also a developer, building high-end homes in Greenville. He was married. He had 4 daughters. He lived in comfort. He also carried on multiple affairs. Anne Marie Fahey's life looked very different. She grew up in a large, tightly knit Irish Catholic family in Wilmington. Her father, Thomas Fahey, was a respected educator and headmaster at Tatnall School. Discipline and faith shaped her upbringing. She attended Ursuline Academy and later St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia. Friends described her as earnest, idealistic, devoted to family. After college, she entered politics, not as a power broker, but as staff. She worked in then-Congressman Thomas Carper's Washington office. When Carper became governor of Delaware in 1993, she returned to Delaware and became his scheduling secretary. It was a role built on trust. The scheduling secretary controls access. She decides who gets time. She protects the governor's calendar. She is present in nearly every room, but rarely noticed. It was in that orbit that she met Thomas Capano. He was more than 20 years older. He was married. He was influential. The relationship began in the early 1990s and remained largely secret. Only a small group within political circles knew. For 3 years, the affair continued, but the relationship that appeared romantic on the surface became strained beneath it. Anne Marie documented that strain in her diary. Those entries later became central evidence. She wrote about his jealousy, about his attempts to monitor her movements, about emotional volatility. In one entry, she described him as a controlling, manipulative, insecure, jealous maniac. She wrote that she felt overwhelmed, that she wanted distance, that she feared his reaction. By late 1995 and early 1996, she was actively trying to end the relationship. She confided in friends that she wanted out. She worried he would retaliate socially or professionally. She began dating another man, but did not tell Capano. He did not accept the breakup. On June 27, 1996, they had dinner together. That fact was never in dispute. They were seen at a restaurant. It was the last time anyone outside Capano's house would see her alive.
I got involved with the case really when Miss Fahey went missing, and I knew that, and I had been one of the last people to see her alive. It's not a secret that she was my patient, so I can share that. And she had left my office and actually went out to dinner with Mr. Capano and was killed after that. So the police got in contact with me very quickly. There was a slip in her vehicle from my office, basically a receipt. And so they contacted me, and at that point I needed to make a very critical decision, which was how much did I share and disclose versus not. There's a whole issue about confidentiality with doctors and patients, particularly in psychiatry. And for me to even acknowledge that she was a patient would be a violation. But there are exceptions to those rules of confidentiality. But also you can choose to violate confidentiality if you think it's for a greater good, a special purpose. In this case, I was worried about her being alive and knew that she was at risk. And so very early on, I made that difficult decision. In consult, I did take time to consult with some ethics experts that I know to try to help the police locate her and hopefully that she was still alive.
On June 29th, her family reported her missing. Inside her apartment, there were signs that something was wrong. Personal items left behind. No indication she had packed for travel. No communication with family, which was unlike her. Police interviewed Capano early. He said he had invited her to dinner in Philadelphia. He described the evening as pleasant. He said he drove her home. He said they parted amicably. It was clean, measured, controlled. But investigators began to find fractures. The FBI's Wilmington resident agency joined local law enforcement. As the case deepened, the FBI took the lead, assembling a task force that included Wilmington Police, the IRS, and ATF. They reconstructed phone activity through toll records. They subpoenaed emails from Capano's law firm and from Fahey's office. They examined financial transactions. They conducted surveillance. They reviewed gun purchase records. They searched landfills. At Capano's Greenville home, they found blood. Small stains on a metal radiator cover. Blood on woodwork. The stains had been partially cleaned. Weeks before her disappearance, Anne Marie had donated blood. Investigators obtained a preserved sample from the blood bank. DNA testing matched her blood to the blood found in Capano's house. The physical evidence directly contradicted his account of dropping her home safely.
I think when we first started the investigation, people assumed that it would have been a passion, spur-of-the-moment killing. And yet we discovered that it was in fact a premeditated killing, that Capano had spent months in advance planning. So that was an unexpected result. Really, the first break in the case came less than 2 weeks into the investigation, and we had subpoenaed Capano's credit card bills. And we were looking at the bills and saw a fairly significant entry for Wallpaper Warehouse. And it was for about $400 and some. And we knew Capano was living in a rental home. We knew he was not the type of guy who fixed his house up himself. So we thought it was kind of an unusual item. And then I just picked up the phone, and we were in the conference room, and I called information and asked for the number for Wallpaper Warehouse, and they gave us the number. We dialed the number, we were on speakerphone, and somebody picked up the phone and said, Airbase Carpets. And apparently we found out that Wallpaper Warehouse is just a subdivision of Airbase Carpets, and as soon as they said Airbase Carpets, we immediately said he rolled Anne Marie up in a carpet and got rid of the carpet. We went back that night and interviewed the housekeeper, and she had been interviewed a week before and said she didn't notice anything different at the house. And when we said, well, what about the carpets? And it was like a light bulb went off, and she says, oh wait, he replaced the carpet, he replaced the couch in this great room. And that was the real break in the case, because then we had enough probable cause to believe that a killing had occurred in the great room, and that was what enabled us to ultimately get a search warrant. And of course, when we went into the home, we found on the wall of the great room a speck of blood smaller than the eraser on a pencil. And ultimately, through DNA testing, we were able to show that that was Anne Marie Fahey's blood.
They also recovered a 10-page letter Capano had written after her disappearance. In it, he detailed the relationship and constructed a timeline. He mentioned spending time with his younger brother, Gerard Capano, in Stone Harbor, New Jersey, the day after she vanished. The mention of his brother changed the direction of the case.
The cooler was another surprise, and I, to this day, believe really was the result of some kind of divine intervention. The cooler was the ultimate corroboration of Jerry, Capano's brother. Jerry had told us that they took the body, Anne Marie's body, out to sea in a cooler, and that Capano dumped her body into the ocean, and that they then ripped the lid off the cooler, which would not sink, and they threw it out to sea. Now, this was not before Jerry had shot a hole in the cooler, hoping that the hole would cause it to sink, which it didn't. And then when we arrested Capano, we revealed in the arrest warrant some of the details about the cooler, but we did not reveal that the lid had come off, and we did not reveal in the arrest warrant that a hole had been shot in it. The day after Capano was arrested, we received a call at FBI from a man who said, "You know, I read about this in the paper, and this is an odd thing, but around the time in question, my friend and I found a cooler many miles off the coast of Indian River Inlet." But he says, but on the other hand, I don't think it could be your cooler because there's a hole in it and it didn't have a lid. And of course, we knew that's got to be the cooler. So we immediately went and got the cooler, and that served to just, I think, make it impossible for the defense to dispute what Jerry said. As I say, I think it was the ultimate corroboration of Jerry. I became very close with the Fahey family as a result of the case, and it does sadden me that the case is remembered as the Capano case because the real tragedy here is that the world lost a very beautiful, loving person and who had a very close family and who never got to bury her and never had the full closure that comes with a burial, and obviously lost somebody they loved too soon, and because somebody was a very evil individual.
Gerard Capano, known as Jerry, had his own legal problems. In November 1997, after an undercover operation involving drug and weapons charges, he was arrested by federal authorities. Facing serious prison exposure, he agreed to cooperate.
Now, at about 6 o'clock in the morning on June 28, 1996, you walked out of your house onto your driveway, correct?
Yes.
And what did you see?
My brother was in the driveway.
What was he in?
Black Jeep.
That was his Jeep?
Yes.
Had he told you prior to this time that he was going to show up on your driveway?
No.
And you walked up to the passenger window of that car, correct?
Yes.
And it was open?
Mm-hmm.
And what did your brother say to you?
He said, I need to go on the boat.
And what did you say?
I said, did you do it?
And by that, what did you mean?
Did he either kill the girl or the guy who was threatening to hurt his kids?
And what did your brother Thomas say in response?
He nodded.
And then what did he say?
He said yes.
And did he ask you if you could help him?
Yes, he did.
And what did you say in response?
I told him I didn't want to get involved, that I had a beautiful wife and kids and a great life, and I didn't want to ruin my life.
And then what did he say?
He said, don't leave me cold, don't leave me flat. I need you, bro, and terms like that.
Isn't it true he also asked if he could use the boat by himself?
Yes.
And you knew that, in fact, physically and just given his experience, he couldn't even do that. Isn't that right?
No way.
Did you agree to help him?
Yes.
And did you subsequently meet him at his house at Grant Avenue?
Yes.
And when you went into the garage at Grant Avenue, what did you see?
cooler and a rolled up rug.
And this was a long rug rolled up, correct?
Yes.
It was about 3/4 the length of the garage.
Yes.
And this cooler, this was a very large cooler, correct?
Yes, maybe half the length of the garage rug.
The rug was? Okay. Now the cooler, about how long was the cooler?
Looked to be 4 feet long by 2 feet wide.
Okay, this is the largest kind of cooler that you know fishermen use generally, is that right?
Yes.
Was there anything around the cooler?
There's a chain wrapped around the cooler.
And this looked to be a new chain, is that correct?
Yes, it did.
And it was locked?
Yes.
And did you and your brother take that cooler and bring it to your house at Stone Harbor, New Jersey?
Yes, we did.
And when you got to your house in New Jersey, did you take the cooler onto your boat?
Yes.
And what did you do?
We got on the boat and,
Did you go out into the ocean?
yes,
About how far out?
I would say about 70 miles. Somewhere between 60 and 75 miles. I would have to look at the chart.
Okay, you have some idea though, approximately where you went to, correct?
Yes.
And approximately how deep was the water there?
198 feet.
And what did you and your brother do?
Lifted the cooler up, put it in the water.
Did the cooler sink?
No.
What did you do because it wouldn't sink?
I took my shark gun out and shot it once with a deer slug and it still wouldn't sink. And that's all we did because it wouldn't sink.
Okay, so what did you and your brother then do?
I maneuvered the boat back to where the cooler was floating, and
Did you pull alongside the cooler?
yes, I did.
Okay, and then did you help your brother move it next to the boat?
No.
Well, what happened?
He held it next to the boat, and I turned the boat off and instructed him that he was on his own, and I went to the front of the boat.
Okay. Did you give an anchor to him?
I laid it down next to him, yes.
Soon after, another brother, Louis Capano, admitted that he had helped dispose of evidence. Both men pleaded guilty in federal court to charges related to the cover-up. They provided prosecutors with a detailed account. According to their testimony, Thomas Capano shot Anne Marie in his home. He then placed her body inside a large Igloo marine cooler he had purchased weeks earlier. On June 28, 1996, Tom and Jerry took Jerry's boat approximately 70 miles off the coast of New Jersey. They pushed the cooler into the Atlantic. It would not sink. Jerry fired shotgun blasts into the cooler to puncture it. It still floated. According to their account, Tom removed her body from the cooler, wrapped it in 2 boat anchors, and lowered it into the ocean. They watched it descend. The cooler was thrown back into the water. Anne Marie's body has never been recovered. About a week after the dumping, fishermen found a large igloo cooler floating offshore. It had visible shotgun holes. They retrieved it, patched it, and began using it. Nearly a year later, after media coverage described a cooler riddled with shotgun damage linked to the Capano case, one fisherman contacted authorities. The cooler was recovered and introduced as evidence. It corroborated the brothers' testimony in material detail. On November 12, 1997, the FBI arrested Thomas Capano after receiving information he might attempt to flee. The trial began in October 1998 in Delaware Superior Court. The courtroom was filled each day. The case had consumed the state. A politically connected attorney accused of murdering the governor's scheduling secretary. Prosecutors built their case around physical evidence, documentary evidence, and cooperating witnesses. Forensic experts testified about the blood evidence. Agents explained phone records and email communications. Financial records were introduced. The igloo cooler was displayed. Gerard and Louis Capano described the disposal at sea. A former lover testified that 6 weeks before Anne Marie's death, Capano had instructed her to purchase a handgun for him and give it to him. Capano eventually admitted he was present when Anne Marie died. He claimed a different woman had confronted them and threatened suicide with the gun. He said the gun discharged accidentally during a struggle, killing Anne Marie. He said he panicked and disposed of the body to protect himself and the other woman from scandal. It was a dramatic shift from his earlier statement. The jury listened for months. They heard Anne Marie's diary entries read aloud. They learned of her attempts to break away. They heard testimony about his jealousy and control. They examined forensic charts and maritime charts. They heard from brothers who implicated him. On January 17, 1999, the jury convicted Thomas J. Capano of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to death. The sentencing phase was emotionally charged. Anne Marie's family addressed the court. Capano's family sat behind him. Years later, Delaware's death penalty statute was invalidated. His sentence was converted to life imprisonment without parole. The political reverberations were significant. The case forced public examination of the culture surrounding power in Delaware. Capano had operated comfortably within elite circles. The scandal prompted discussions about accountability, secrecy, and the risks embedded in hierarchical relationships. Anne Marie Fahey's family endured something far more permanent. They never recovered her body. There was no funeral with remains, no grave to visit, only the certainty of loss. In 2011, Thomas Capano was found dead in his prison cell at the James T. Vaughn Correctional Center. Authorities ruled it a suicide. He died without confessing to intentional murder. Anne Marie's body remains in the Atlantic. What survives is evidence. A diary that warned of escalating control. Blood preserved by coincidence weeks before death. A cooler pierced by shotgun blasts. Anchors descending into deep water. Thomas Capano understood the legal system. He had prosecuted cases. He knew what juries required. He understood burden of proof. In the end, it was the accumulation of ordinary evidence that convicted him. Not spectacle, not rumor. Paper, blood, testimony, physics. Anne Marie Fahey tried to leave. The verdict says she was not allowed to. And the ocean, vast and silent, keeps what it was given.